Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into the studio. Today we are embarking on the final journey of the Kronos 2.0 maquette. I sold about 10 of these maquettes way too long ago, and with the situation we find ourselves in across the world and a gross misjudgment in the amount of work it would take to cast 10 copies of this figure, the entire ordeal ended up quite delayed. But here we are, the final home stretch, which is painting the resin casts. If you want to support the channel and see more content like this, check out my Patreon page. There's a link in the description below. We will be doing a pretty simple two-step process to most of these casts. This process starts off with spray painting the sculpture. I'm only going to show you one color, however, which is white, because spray painting inside where the cameras are set up is not so good for the studio environment, and moving the camera around is a bit of an ordeal. I'm using a special spray paint that has a chalky texture to it. This helps a little with the next step, gives the next step something to grab onto, and it gives the sculpture a bit of a gritty texture that I like. Regular spray paint has the tendency of looking a lot like plastic on the surface, which I don't really like. This type of spray paint is a lot more matte than regular spray paint and feels a little more natural to me. Always shake the can for at least a minute or two before spraying, and do some test sprays into a trash can to make sure the spray is coming out of the nozzle nice and evenly. Then we spray from a distance of about 30 centimeters, maybe a little bit more. Most spray cans will come with some sort of instructions on the can, so the distance you want to spray at might differ depending on what brand of spray paint you use. Since I'm after a bit of texture, spraying from a slightly greater distance than advertised won't matter too much. What happens when you do spray from a slightly greater distance is that the paint dries a little bit in midair and lands on the surface, creating a bit of a texture. If I spray it for too long or too close in one area, the buildup of paint will appear like a thick plastic coating on the surface, which is not what I'm after. I'll let the paint dry for a day or so before proceeding to the next step, because the next step is quite aggressive. Now, some of these figures will stay white, but some of them, the ones that got spray painted without the camera rolling, that got spray painted with a different color than white, will get an extra step. This step is hand painting with oil paint. I spray painted different versions, different colors, essentially different base coats. And I'll discuss the chosen base coat on each of them and what I hoped to achieve with said base coat. Let's thank today's sponsors, my Patreon supporters on Patreon, who have ensured the continued existence of this channel and allowed me to upgrade my gear bit by bit, making better looking and better sounding content for all of you watching. If you are interested in supporting the channel, or perhaps interested in getting personal feedback on your sculptures from me, then Patreon is the place for you. You'll get in-depth feedback on techniques and how you can apply them to your own work. Anything sculpture related goes. We can talk about armatures, supplies, mold making, anything you might need help with in your sculpting endeavors. So check it out, there's a link in the description below, and again, thank you so much to those of you who have given generously and supported me. It really means the world. The first beige version is going to be painted with a mix of black and burnt umber oil paint. The beige base coat provides a nice base for this color combination. The entire process is pretty straightforward and hardly requires a steady hand or any experience with paint. As long as the color choices are good here, this should work out pretty well for us. First, I cover the sculpture or a section of the sculpture with oil paint. Make sure you get it into every nook and cranny. Spots that you miss will stand out later on as they will be lighter. Then I take a cotton rag, a small piece of an old t-shirt actually, and rub out most of the oil paint. Now, how much you rub out is really up to you. If you rub out a lot of oil paint, the result you will get will have more contrast between the highlights and the shadow, as most of the paint will remain in the recesses. The effect you get will also depend somewhat on your base coat. If the base coat is very light, then rubbing off most of the oil paint will lead to a higher contrast result, while if the base coat is quite dark, you will end up with a less contrasty result. Of course, you can also rub off of less of the oil paint, and the result will then also have less contrast. This entire thing is basically down to your taste and what fits the sculpture, or what you believe fits the sculpture. I tried a few different versions here based on what the clients wanted, but the painting process is organic and getting the exact same result every single time might be a little bit tricky. It will depend somewhat on the texture of your sculpture and on the very hard to control factor of how much paint you rub off. If you do feel like you've rubbed off too much paint, then you can reapply more and kind of start over again. That's the nice thing about oil paint. It takes very long to dry out, so you can actually play around with it for quite a while. And I had to do this in several sections, as some sections were harder to reach than others, and in order to reach them, I rubbed off more than I wanted in other areas. The rag gets soaked in oil paint after a while, and this slows down how much paint it effectively rubs off as well. The slower we approach the result we are after, the more control we will have, so this kind of works to our advantage. Keep in mind that as oil paint dries, it becomes matter, not so shiny in other words, and it becomes slightly lighter in value. Some of this shine and depth of color can be brought back if you apply a layer of clear wax later on, which I won't be doing in this video as the paint needs to be really dry before you do this, and that takes a while. Oil paint can take quite a while to dry, especially in the deeper recesses where there's more of a thick paint buildup. On the superficial surface, the highlights, essentially where we rubbed off most of the paint is going to dry a lot faster because it's thinner. Next color we are going for is the same beige base coat, but this time we will use burnt umber on its own, without any black. This will give a much lighter and redder result, orangey, akin to a really thin bronze patina or perhaps wood. The contrast will also be a lot less with a patina such as this, which is nice as the sculpture stands out a little bit more than the texture of the sculpture. But we do lose some of the texture, which is perhaps not desirable either. It's always a balance. Let's take a quick second to talk about my Patreon page. On there, right now, you'll find exclusive Patreon content, videos that you will only have access to if you are my supporter on Patreon. The first series we have embarked on is the Beginner's Guide to Figure Sculpture, where we will cover how to sculpt a standing nude female figure in contrapposto in half life-size scale. I will cover everything from armature, the sculpting, and eventually even the mold making. This will be your one-stop for all the answers you will need to sculpt a standing nude figure. Whether you sculpt from life or from photo reference, we will cover how to work from both. One video will be released in the beginning of every month, and the video will be longer than what you're used to seeing here on YouTube, around 30 to 45 minutes long. It will all be real-time footage, no time lapses, and I will do my best to use a very linear process with clearly defined steps, making it both easy to follow and easy to do on your own. Any patron pledging $5 or more will get access to the videos. I'm excited to finally be putting out exclusive Patreon content to my patrons whose support is greatly appreciated. So check out my Patreon page to watch the full video by clicking the link in the description below. Next, we have a very different paint job. Here, I started out with a gray base coat and mixed cobalt blue with gray in order to create a desaturated blue paint. The blue and the gray base coat are fairly close in value as well, with the blue being ever so slightly darker and obviously more saturated with color. As this one dried out, it turned out a little bit more gray also, which I was happy with. Too blue is not entirely what I was after, so this one worked out pretty well in the end. It kind of reminds me of some blue bronze patinas I've seen, but I also am very happy that it's not too saturated and not too garish. For the final paint job I'll show you, I started out with a darker beige with a little bit more red in it compared to the earlier beiges that I showed you, which were more yellow. The oil paint mixture was the same as the first one, black and burnt umber in a 50-50 mix. And I rubbed off a lot less here as I was trying to mimic one of those really dark brown bronze patinas that you see a lot in work from the 19th century. There will be a lot less visible texture, but the outline of the figure stands out more with a patina like this. And this probably ended up being my personal favorite of the bunch, as it reminds me the most of a proper bronze patina. If you use this technique and find the result a little dull after a few days, then putting on some translucent wax can help revitalize the color a little bit. It'll make the color darker again and also give a little bit of a slight sheen. When you do bronze patinas, you can either apply the wax hot or cold. Now, if you apply the wax hot, it will be a lot more shiny than if you apply it cold, which will give it more of a satin finish. Here we obviously can't use hot application because we would damage the resin cast and the oil paint underneath. So if you're after really shiny results while painting resin casts with oil paint, then perhaps using a spray varnish for oil paintings would be a good idea. I tend to, however, not favor shiny sculptures, as it takes away a lot of the hard work that went into rendering the forms. When the surface becomes shiny, all the work using values in order to render transitions become very hard to see, and the apexes of forms will have these harsh, small, metallic highlights associated with shiny objects. A satin or matte finish, closer to the finish of the clay itself, will reveal the work you did more appropriately. This is of course a personal preference, by the way, more than anything else. Since I love forms, volumes, transitions, and modeling, I tend to favor a finish that really allows this to be the sculpture's finest quality. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did and want to learn sculpture from me or just support the channel, check out my Patreon page. I give feedback and critiques on people's work, and we talk about whatever you need help with in your sculpting endeavors. And right now there's exclusive sculpting content on my Patreon. The first series we have embarked on is the Beginner's Guide to Figure Sculpture, which is almost finished, and after we finish the figure, we will move on to sculpting a portrait. I'm super excited to be creating exclusive content for Patreon, and hope you are too, and we'll take a look. The link to my Patreon page is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for a new video next Thursday. Hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever a new video comes out. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and share with your friends and family. It helps me out a lot. Thank you for watching, stay creative, and I hope to see you in the next one.